Hello YouTube, this is Cami Froglegs. I'm making another video in this atrocious purple, or excuse me, pink hat. And if you watch my hair video that I just made, you'll see why I'm wearing this pink hat. But I'm on a roll with making videos, and I don't care. I'm deep conditioning, that's all that matters. But right now, this video is not about that. This video is on making hard cider at home. I have a lot of hobbies, as you can probably tell. I sew, I crochet, I knit, I now woodwork, and I make my own home cider. I bike, I'm an exercise person, so I got a lot of stuff going on. But I like the fact that I can do a lot of this stuff myself. So, making hard cider isn't that hard. The very first batch I made was a year and a half ago. It was like right before I left for boot camp. I made it. It was okay for a first batch. It had funky stuff floating in it. It wasn't all that great. So I came back, I got all my stuff out of storage, and I was like, ooh, I have all this stuff. I need to, let's get on this. I hate keep having to buy cider, you know, the hard cider at the store. You know, I want to make my own varieties and just the process itself. So all the yeast that I had that was in that kit was no good. So I threw all the yeast out. I had bought 2 separate kits from Brew Demon and then one from Mr. Beer. Like I said, the yeast went in the trash, but then I kept the extract concentrate stuff that comes with it. You know, we just add water. Brew Demon, you have to add water and sugar. And that was the very first batch I made. I started that one on October 7th, 2017. That's the primary fermentation. I did that on a Saturday. A Saturday evening to be exact. Was it a Saturday? Could have been a Sunday. I'm pretty sure it was a Saturday. Saturday. Anyway, doesn't matter. Saturday or Sunday, when you can look at the calendar, October 7th. I did all the stuff. I had bought fresh sanitizer and bought more cleaning rinse. And I used my big 20-gallon bucket to hold the sanitizer, and then I was using the little quart pot that I just use specifically for brewing. I put the rinse in there. So what and I have photos of what to do on the back end of this video. So this is just going to be a brief run through of what you're doing. So you're going to make your rinse. It's 1 tablespoon of the rinse powder to a gallon of water, and I use a gallon of water. It's not like I have to clean a lot. It's not, that stuff is clean. When I put it in there, it's just really to kind of get some of the big stuff off. So I dunk it in there, swirl it around really, really well. I pour some of it into my brewing, my fermentation vessels. I have one that looks kind of like, it's like a jug. And then I have one that's a big, wide jug. So you'll see those in the photos as well. So I put it in there, shake them up really well, pour the rinse back into the pot. I rinse everything else off. And as I'm rinsing things, I'm putting them in the sanitizer because the sanitizer's made. You do 1 ounce of the sanitizer per 3 gallons of water. I use warm water, lukewarm, where I'm not going to burn my hands, but it's kind of not cold either. Then you throw everything in there, and it needs to sit at least 5 minutes. Okay, at least 5 minutes. And a lot of times, while I'm getting other stuff done, it's sitting in there. Like, I just leave it in there, and then if I use it, I dunk it back into the rinse, and then put it in the sanitizer. Like the measuring cup, I use it, and if it doesn't have has water on it or something, I just put it back in the sanitizer. I keep everything in the sanitizer until I'm ready to use it, so that way I can't say that it's not clean. It's not sanitized, because you don't want any funky junk. It's gonna make anybody sick in your cider. So the first batch I made, the primary fermentation lasted about 2.5 weeks because I put it in secondary fermentation on October 18th. Secondary fermentation, you get it off the yeast from the primary because you don't want all that yeasty taste. That's gross. But you want the yeast to stop eating the sugar, so that's why it sat in there for so long, because it was still bubbling. And then once it stops bubbling during primary and it starts to get clear, then you know you're ready to send it over to secondary. So this particular batch, I put cranberries in the secondary fermentation. I had a 2-pound bag of cranberries that I had put in the freezer, and then I took them out, split them in two, because I have two 1-gallon secondary fermentation containers. So I split them in two, and I filled up those, put in my little bubblers and everything. So they're currently still sitting in secondary fermentation. My plan is to bottle them on November 1st, and I'll make an amendment if I decide not to do it on the 1st, which my plan is to bottle at least one of those jugs on the 1st, and then the next one will be the following week. I made a second batch I started its primary fermentation on the 25th, and it will go into secondary fermentation hopefully in about 2.5 weeks, which will be the same time I take out the second cranberry one and bottle it. So I should have, empty vessels, because I only have 4. I have 2 primary and 2 secondary. My goal for the second batch is to put fruit, but I'm going to put 2 different fruits in there. We're looking at mango and pineapple. Mango for one and pineapple for the other. So that's where we're at. Based on the first timeline, I'm looking at being able to drink it on the 15th, November 15th. So hopefully I'll be able to tell you how it tastes. I sampled the results of the primary fermentation. It tasted great. It didn't taste gross. It didn't taste too sweet. It didn't taste too tart. It didn't taste too yeasty. It was really good. Actually, if I had, just taken any more, I probably would have been drunk. Let's see. That's the only, I don't think I actually encountered any issues. The only problem I had was trying to get the yeast. I couldn't, based on the instructions I found, and I've been using 2 different sources. It's called the Everything Hard Cider book that I found on Amazon. Again, I'll link that below. And then the How to Make Hard Cider webpage, again, will be linked below. I printed off those instructions so I don't have to keep going and logging on to go find it. They've been giving me my timeline and my tips and do's and don'ts. So I haven't really encountered any major issues. Just the yeast that was suggested in the How to Make Hard Cider webpage was not available at my local homebrew store at the time that I wanted to buy the yeast, and I didn't want to drive all the way back because I live in Tennessee, just right at the line, and my local homebrew store is in Georgia, but it's about 15-20 minutes away, and it's like, I don't want to drive all the way back out there to the middle of nowhere. So I ended up using 71B 1122 Lalvin 71B 1122. But she told me to use Nottingham, and they didn't have it. She gave me something else, and they didn't have it. Again, I'll post the suggested ones, and then the one I used definitely in the box below. And that because it worked the first batch and it didn't make anything really taste any weird, I did the exact same thing. I bought the Lalvin 71B 1122 and used it again, and I'll probably continue to do that because it's working. As far as using the concentrates, I bought both of them from Amazon. Brew Demon, you have to add sugar. I do believe it was 1.5 cups of sugar that I had to boil with the water. And then you add in your concentrate, mix it, and then you can put it in your primary fermentation, but then you have to let it cool down before you add your yeast. So either use really, really cold water, like that's almost ice water, to cool it down to about 70 degrees. I wouldn't add your yeast if it's any higher than 78, 80 degrees. It might kill your yeast more than do anything. So I just let mine sit on the cabinet until it cools off. I do other stuff. I put stuff away. I get my little, because I put the containers in a little plastic bucket, so that way they're contained in there. So if there's leakage, it's not getting all over my closet floor. Yes, I do keep them in my closet. My closet does smell like yeast and alcohol. But my only suggestion is that you check your local state laws as far as home brewing. Here in the great state of Tennessee, I can't brew more than 100 gallons for myself if there's more than one person of the legal age of 21 who lives in my residence, which there is. I can't brew more than 200. Just a side note, how they're going to know how much I'm actually brewing, I don't know. But I'm going to try and keep it under the 100 gallons per year, or 100 to 200 gallons per year maximum. I don't think I'm drinking that much, but seeing as how it takes 1.5 to 2 months to brew them, I mean, how much? I only brewed 4 gallons so far. So you'd have to be really brewing a lot in order to do it, to make that. I can't sell or distribute it. The laws are really complex, but if you read it, it'll tell you what you can and cannot do. So again, I'll link all of my sources and what I've been using. They'll either be in the video or they'll be in the comment box. Thank you for watching.